let's get into it. Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar. First off, your thoughts on Max's... Wait, first, let's give some... you know what? Let's start with Max. Because he was the star of the night.
He was the star. You gotta give him first licks, right? That guy, he's a freaking superhero right now. Like, that performance, he threw over 700 strikes. That's a Hall of Fame level performance, man. Like,
he broke his own record, right?
Broke his own record.
Yeah.
For significant strikes in the round. So I think it was round 4 when he was just going off on him. He broke that record. Man, the guy's just so freaking good. And everybody else at featherweight and in the UFC now is going to have to raise their level if they want to even look close to that, man. The guy's just raised the standard for UFC fighters. I mean, come on.
I'm just like, how many strikes he just throw? Because I can't keep that pace. That's just insane.
Dude, and he wasn't getting tired. Even after the fight, he didn't seem too tired.
Yeah.
Come on.
And he got style points. Yep. And he got big freshman points. You know, that is the toughest freshman I know.
Toughest freshman in the world.
And I think Kattar will agree now, you know, and Max was right. He picked on the wrong freshman.
Yeah.
But overall, you know, a little fun banter, jabs with each other back and forth. And I thought it made for a little bit more excitement, put more on the line for this fight.
100%.
And Max rose to the occasion. And we were saying this is probably the best Max Holloway we've ever seen in terms of complete performance.
Yeah. And it's kind of piggybacking off of how he looked in the Volkanovski fight, man. Like, I think when he came out, got some of those knockdowns, you almost saw that same Max, but now just even better. And I remember last podcast, we were talking about, you know, if Max just boxes with him, if Max, you know, doesn't throw some of the kicks. But, dude, he threw everything. He was throwing spinning back kicks. He was throwing, you know, a whole bunch of punches to the head, to the body. That step-in leg kick that he kept just poking him with, man. Like, dude, he's a problem. He's a problem.
The part that gets me is when he's doing it and he's evading punches and he's talking to DC as he's
I mean, come on. Come on.
No,
that's the coolest thing I think I've seen anybody ever do in combat sports.
Yeah.
Was just look at the commentator. It reminds me of like Floyd Mayweather. I think he did it a while ago. But somebody asked Floyd Mayweather in the middle of the fight, who do you think's going to win or whatever? And he goes, yeah, Tom Brady, I got the Patriots on Saturday. I'm like, oh, man, this guy is too cool.
Man, it was a great performance. And again, we talked about the kicks, the side kicks, stomping to the knee, the oblique kicks. Kattar landed 4 leg kicks early in the first round within the first 2 minutes of the fight. And I was like, if he could keep this pace, this could make some problems for Max. Then Max made some adjustments, start to return his own kicks, and then getting out of the way of his kicks, and then returning back to fire. And we were talking about it. His touch and go style is just very like volume. It overwhelms you, and he shoots so far from the outside. He had the shorter reach than Calvin Kattar.
By 3 inches, yeah.
But fought like the longer man, which makes no sense. And that's what makes it so impressive. He doesn't have the power. Well, at least he doesn't fight like that. He just relies on his variety and his cardio, and I think it shined through, and it showed why the best is blessed.
Dude, the best is 100% blessed.
The best is blessed, baby.
I mean, I was almost wrong because I was starting to lean towards Calvin Kattar. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, dude, his right hand, he's got this and that, but dude, Max shut me up. He's the best boxer in the UFC.
Because I know Longo's, we talked about it, and he was like, yeah, I don't know, man. Kattar looks like maybe Max's best days are behind him. He might just be looking to collect a paycheck. And I'm not throwing Ray under the bus because these are things he would say on the podcast as well. But I was like, nah, man. I just think that fight with Volkanovski, he just got shorted, man. Like, he dropped him. He should have won the fight. He didn't get the nod, but he came back, picked up where he left off, like you said, and he showed why he's still one of the best guys, if not the greatest featherweight of all time.
100%.
Look at what he's doing. Yeah. And what makes this more impressive with the breaking the record, his own record, was he broke the record against Brian Ortega, a grappler.
Who's fighting for the belt.
Fighting for the belt. And then he does it against a striker who everyone said this guy has the best boxing. Then Max comes out and just styles on him with boxing.
Come on.
Boxing who? Boxing what? It doesn't get any better than that.
This man looked at DC, punched him in his face, almost broke his face with that. Then moved his head out of 3 punches and then said, I'm the best boxer in the UFC. I mean, who else does that?
Nobody. And I think the other thing, the icing on the cake, is that he hasn't been sparring.
Yeah.
And I think that says something, you know, for a guy who's got a lot of mileage in terms of sparring rounds, boxing, kickboxing fights, and I don't know about boxing, maybe kickboxing fights and MMA fights. He's been in the game for such a long time that he doesn't need to put his brain or body in that much trouble with the prep. I don't need to beat my body up to get to the fight anymore. I know what I need to do. I know how to stay sharp. I know how to fight already.
Yep.
I just got to make sure I'm in shape and I'm ready to go.
No, 100%, man. I think the saying goes, you want to upgrade the hardware without doing damage in the software. Yeah. You know what I mean? So at this point in his game, he's 29 years old, but fight years, he's much older than that. Yeah. So why do the damage to your body? You know, why even take the damage?
I agree. And the other thing I was saying is, like, you would think, they say the best way to get in shape for any sport is to play the sport. Yeah. So to get into fight shape, you got to spar.
Which is fair.
Yeah. But you see this, it makes you wonder, you want to look inside of Max Holloway's training camp to see what he's doing to get into shape like that, to have a ridiculous output like that. Because that is just unheard of, insane. And I think a lot of people are going to start looking at what he's doing and trying to figure out, I want to be like Max. What can I do to be like Max? I want to train the way he's training so that I can be like him one day.
I mean, look, like I said earlier, he set the new standard. I mean, he's, what, 145? There are flyweights. Mighty Mouse.
They ain't throwing that many punches.
Mighty Mouse isn't throwing that many punches in a fight, you know? And these are guys that are built for that level of fighting, right? So this guy really did just elevate and I think change the game with that performance. And we're going to start seeing, like you said, a lot more people try and take after Max. A lot of people try and maybe use some of the stuff he does in his fights and try and pick apart his style and see what he does so different. Because right now, man, the best is blessed. In my opinion, he's a champ.
He's
Volkanovski who? Like, you know what I mean? That's an interim title that's going to be on the line.
Volkanovski did make a good point. He said, Max ain't putting up those type of numbers when I'm standing in front of him. I was like, oh, we throwing shade.
No, that's fair. I'll give it to him. I'll give it to him.
I was like, okay, I like this. That makes me a lot more interested in seeing the trilogy, for sure.
Yeah.
But especially after a performance like that, because I was like, man, maybe Kattar can get it done against a guy like Volkanovski. But we got to see Ortega first, next in line, and then we go from there 100%. And keep that division moving. That's why I love. Once the division is moving, again, which it is now, finally, it makes things a lot more clear. It makes you a lot more excited to see who's in top 5, top 10, and
now
so
we
on
get
and
to
so
see
forth.
everything play out, man. Like, who knows? What if Volkanovski doesn't even make it to that fight? Brian Ortega's he's a troubling grappler. He's a great fighter. Who knows? We could be seeing Brian Ortega Holloway too.
It could be.
Max breaks his own record again. Who knows?
Crazy. And the other thing we gotta talk about, Kattar. I mean, the toughness of him just to be out there and endure that, especially in the 4th round. It looked like Max was gonna get him out of there.
Yep.
And looked like Herb was ready to jump in a couple of times, and then he came back and threw some
one
elbows.
of those.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I'm 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. I'm gonna back off a little bit. But it was a good fight. He defended himself well as best as he can.
Yep.
And I think he saw that Max was slowing down a little bit after going so crazy on him in the end of that 4th round stretch. And he thought maybe I could come back in the 5th round when he started bouncing. He looked a little bit more fresh. It was like, okay, we might have a problem here. But then Max said, nah.
I think I mean, look, I hate to go back to Holloway because we're complimenting Kattar right now, but that just goes to show how good Holloway is, man. He got tired, still came back, but Kattar hung in there. Kattar, that's another Hall of Fame level, I guess, of heart, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't teach that kind of heart in a guy, man. Kattar, he's tough.
And it's not like Kattar didn't land anything. He did land, but Max did a great job rolling with the punches and all that. Punching with him, punch on punch, trading or rolling. And it just seemed like his volume in comparison to Kattar throwing 1, 2, maybe 3 strikes at a time, where Max was just like peppering nonstop. I think that was probably the difference. And then once it got to a point where it was a little bit too much, he was a little bit too far behind on the scorecards, and Max just ran off to the races with that.
But I'll tell you what, man. I am interested to see how Calvin Kattar is going to bounce back from this. We already know he's a tough guy, right? We know he's tough going into this fight. We saw how tough he was after this fight. But I think a performance like that Max had is going to make Calvin Kattar come even harder the next time around. So next guy he fights might be in some trouble.
Yeah.
It's the weekly scratch. You don't need a map. GPS, I'm right here to lead the dash. The world doesn't know it needs, but I